you want to just pass it off from there, and then we'll let the other two guys go last. So.
Okay. Hello? Hello. All right. Well, just for general information, this has been the fruition of several years of planning. We wanted to have an internship for our students, for the mission students, and the reason it's 6 weeks long, you may be wondering, 6 weeks. Well, any missions trip to help a missionary out is great, but I've talked to several different people about this, and they say that 1 or 2 weeks on a mission field is basically a vacation. You don't really get to understand what it's like to be on a field until you're there for a certain amount of time. You start really understanding the culture and the people that are there. And 6 weeks seem like a good time, particularly since we have to send 2 groups over every summer. So that's why we have the 6-week program. But also, the program is necessarily kind of open-ended. And it sat me for a reason. I was talking to Brother Johnson last week about this. He said when he first came over to the field, back with, several years ago, he said he had no idea what it was like in Botswana. And then when he went over there to become Myra went over there, even though he had help from other missionaries, he said, you really don't understand what it's like. And so you're walking kind of blind into it. You have to learn these new things. And so we left the mission, we left this internship rather open-ended. So even though they understood they were going over there to seek to win the lost and to help out churches over there, they didn't really know what they would be doing exactly. We did that for 2 reasons. One, we wanted them to understand how they had to trust the Lord and the Holy Spirit to lead them, and how to surrender to His leading, but also how to be adaptable on a field. Because in a new culture, sometimes you walk in there as an American thinking you know how you're going to do things, and you realize that the people who are there don't think like Americans. They don't act like Americans, and we have to adapt the gospel to their need, not to what we think they need, but what they actually need. And so we left it open-ended on purpose, and it may have been a little frustrating from at times, but I think they all learned that the mission field is not what they thought it was when they went over. And so I'll hand it off to the ladies.
Hi. So this was my first missions trip, and like Mr. Benham said, they've been planning to have this for a while, but this is the first time they actually sent us over. So this is the whole reason that I ended up out at this college, and I'm super thankful that they got it going before I graduated and left. But so like Mr. Benham said, they left it open-ended, and Mrs. Johnson told us before we went over, don't have any expectations. Whatever you're thinking it's going to be like, it's not going to be like that. So I really didn't know what to think except for what I had heard from Devin, because he was over there with the other group. And even that, like, what he did was not what we did. And kind of the biggest thing I think I learned was adaptability. That's kind of something that, like, every day it was like, okay, this is what we're going to do today. Oh wait, this is what God's putting in our path today, so this is what we're going to do today. So we had plans, but it's like, well, okay, that's okay, we're going to be adaptable, like we're going to do this instead. So there was that aspect of it, and then that just really led into, you have to trust the Lord, because you think you know what's best, and you think, okay, this is a good use of my time, this is what we're going to do, and then it's not, and then it's like, okay, it's okay, it's still good, we didn't like waste time, we didn't, it wasn't a wasted day, it was still productive, just not the way we wanted. And I don't know, there was a lot, and how Mr. Benham said, like, you have to adapt to the people of the culture. There was a group that got started when the guys went, and I'll let them tell you about that, but we got to go to a Bible study with a group of ladies over there, and just the things that had to be kind of reversed in their thinking wasn't anything you would ever think to deal with over here if you're witnessing to somebody. So it's just things like that help you get a better understanding of, like, oh, once you leave America, it's like a totally different world, and you have to understand how other people think, and just things like that. So it was good. It was a good trip.
We'll come back. Okay, so I was up here, like, before 6 weeks ago, I was up here before that to Bulgaria, and that was an extremely good trip. But the biggest thing that I noticed different here was that was a really good trip, and it was just, we were always out there just like outreach, and it was really exciting. But getting to go on this 6 weeks trip, like, it was like, I guess how to describe, would be realistic, where it's not always like that on the mission field. It's not always like, oh, you go into outreach and there's a huge outpour of people. It's hard work. They're doing it all the time. And in Africa, it was exciting to do the outreach because all the people want it. All the people want the tracts. There are people who see you passing out and you tell them that it's Bible study and they're just like, oh, can I have one too? And it was really a blessing to be able to see that, because that's not at all what it was like in Bulgaria. So it was such a blessing to be able to go on this trip next and have that encouragingness, but at the same time they come at it with a different mentality, and everybody kind of thinks that they're already saved and that they already have God in their lives, and everybody's just born saved. And so it's like a whole different mentality that you're dealing with, and so it's still a tough mission field that you have to reverse their thinking. The entire culture is different than we think. Like, we think one thing about like traditional marriage, like, yeah, you have to be married, but they think, oh, you can live with somebody and their husband and wife. And it's culture to think that, and parents encourage it. And so it's just the problems that they face, even as Christians, is entirely different. So getting to talk with some of the saved people over there and hearing the struggles that they have and not entirely the struggles that we have. So even like just being around them and realizing like how blessed we are, but then just being in the mission field, we learned a lot of what we did as the ladies group. Miss Myra was telling us that a lot of times when men are called over to a mission field, sometimes they return home not because the guy couldn't handle it, but because the woman couldn't handle it. And so we were over there trying to learn adaptability and just, what are you going to do when you don't have like a wash machine? What are you going to do when you can't cook on an electric stove? What are you going to do when like everything, all your plans get messed up for the day because half the entire household is sick? And we coped with it. Like, 2 of the ladies like took care of everybody while we were all like super sick, and then other times like we just learned to group with the day when something else popped up and we couldn't get something done, and we learned how to, we spent an entire day doing laundry when we were told we couldn't use a laundry machine for that entire week, and so that was exciting. And then we got to cook things that you would usually bake in the oven on the stove, and we just learned how to do those things so that if one day God has us going over there, we're able to do that. But the biggest thing that I feel like I learned was just, we went through classes over there too, that like teaching class, a How Do We Know Rights class, and a spiritual warfare class. And the biggest one that I got the most out of was spiritual warfare, and just being able to see like how much there is over there, like the warfare over there, just like Satan does not want the gospel over there, but he does not want you over there either. And so it was like really, really hard sometimes. Okay. I hate crying. Okay. Okay. But the last week that we were there, Miss Myra gave all of us like, we had like devotions, but then she sent us all the way to have like our own little quiet time where we get come to God. And I think all of us walked away with something that she talked about. She said that the devil's trying to like turn the heat up, and he's trying to like make it so that you can't go back over there, and he's trying to discourage you. And he tries to discourage us here from like reaching out and from going to talk to people, because he's like, people don't care and Satan's fighting against you anyway. But God is also trying to turn the heat up, and he's trying to get those bad things and those things that are just hindering you, like the fear and the struggles and so like any problems that you're coming across, and he wants to take those off of it while Satan's trying to like push those back down into you, because it's called like the drops, which God is like trying to purify you from. Satan's trying to push that back down into you and hide it and keep it hidden. But just like the 3 kings of Joshua I got to teach Sunday school on, just like we had to deal with that hidden sin, God wants to turn the heat up so he can bring it off, and so that he can skim it off. And so the last week that we were there, all of us girls, I think, were able to find something that God could just skim off in our lives and just be able to take care of it. And it was such a blessing to just be able to learn that there, and to have her help to just be able to like see that, and then to just be more effective witnesses as we go out even more. So that's what it was. Blessing.
First of all, I'd like to thank the school and the church for allowing us to go on this missions trip, because while you may take all the classes that you can and get all the information about the mission field, you really don't know what you're up against till you're actually there. And so I was really excited to get to go experience the 6 weeks there, and get to meet the people, make some friendships, see what life is like, how little things are different, like when we didn't have hot water and we got a shower using a bucket every day to get our hot water. But there are just so many things, so many fun things we got to do, so many different people we got to meet, places we got to go and see. But just personally watching the Johnsons was a major impact on my life. Watching Miss Myra, she's one of the wisest women that I've ever gotten a chance to meet, and just kind of seeing how she handles the mission field. And she's one of the most flexible people that I've ever met, as far as, whatever came our way, she was on top of it. She would make a way, she'd do something different. She'd be tired and she'd go out of her way to still do the best she can to be there for people, minister to people, and invest in others. And it was just encouraging to me to see, and the kind of theme she had over the whole 6 weeks for us was, it's not about you. And so it really stuck out to me that it really, isn't about me, and not just on the mission field, but, here, this is our mission field as well. And it's not about us and, our schedule and our possessions, and, it's about the people, and it's about our witness, our message. And so it just encouraged me to be able to give up my wants, my wishes, my rights, just to get the gospel out, to minister to others.
Sorry. I think the greatest blessing I got out of this trip was to be present when 3 of the ladies accepted Jesus Christ as their Savior at the Bible study that the gentleman had started. While we were there, Brother Johnson was going through the creation, the life of Christ study with them. And he had to sit through there, and a translator had to be present. Well, the lady that owned the courtyard in which the Bible study took place was the lady that interpreted, and she actually had a fever. She had the flu that was going through at the same time, and so there was that warfare there as well. But even though the barriers of language, and it was awesome to see the Lord work, and those 3 ladies understood completely. A week later, we came back to the Bible study after that retreat, and the ancestors were brought up. In Botswana, ancestors are worshipped. They revere them as gods, and it dawned on her that day that ancestors are just people who have come before us. And she said, "Now I understand." And she fully understood the gospel. And I have 3 sisters over there who are old enough to be my grandmothers, but I have 3 sisters over there, and it was a blessing to see. It was a blessing to see Niari. She's our age, she's 23, and she's growing so much in the Lord. It was encouraging to see. And Miss Sarah, she was Miss Myra's best friend, and she was actually a pastor's daughter who grew up in Zimbabwe, and it was encouraging to see that we're not just the only ones here. There are many across the world doing the same thing we're doing, reaching souls for Christ. As Nikki said, this missions trip has been a growing time, a time where we were set back and had to look back and go, oh yeah, this world isn't about me. My way isn't always the right way. I had to learn that through this. I also had to learn that just because one certain thing happens, I don't have to become angry or bitter about it, but I can still press on toward the mark. I don't have to worry about what a certain person is doing. I just have to do what's right. And the Lord will take care of that situation. And it was good, it was encouraging, and I learned a lot through it.
Well, let's see here. So it was just great to see how the Lord worked, and I just wanted to take this opportunity just to thank the church family, the pastors for the vision, to have people sent over there, and just thank you all for your faithfulness and the giving that you do. And I guess it was just amazing to see just God work through it all. even small things like I lost my luggage on the way, and Lord kind of worked that out. It actually saved some money in the long run, but some big things that happened over there. You never know what the track you pass out, the Bible study that you do. You never know what that's going to turn into, and that just so happened in the case of this village that Brother Johnson kind of had a vision for, Wooly Ploly. And so we went out there, we did some literature distribution, and we did get a response from a lady by the name of Tessa, and so we started doing Bible study with her, so she invited somebody to that Bible study, the next one that we did, and then she said, well, why don't you come to my home? And we were a little leery of that, just because we're guys, and she was a lady. And so all three of us went, the guys, just to kind of check it out. And she had a wonderful courtyard, kind of a patio area, and nice open space, and she had some chairs, and so she invited some folks and that she knew. And so because of that, we were able to hold that Bible study. And so the following week, a few more people showed up, and a few more people showed up. So just seeing God add and that grow. And then we went over a study, 5 weeks that we conducted that study week by week, and kind of laid the framework and the groundwork for Brother Johnson to be able to continue that, and the ladies continue that. So it was just great to see how that work out and hear souls saved as a result. And so I just wanted to thank you all for that.
Yeah, try to be quick here. I don't want to keep you guys all night. Thankful for the church for their prayers and faithfulness and everybody being a part of this. First, want to say, maybe some of you guys have seen the videos. It's episode 3 that we're talking about here for the village. And obviously in Botswana, it's not that prominent that people have a lot of electronics and stuff. So kind of walking around with that stuff can be a big hindrance, and it was sometimes. So, we weren't able to capture all that, plus expensive equipment. You don't be walking around with that kind of thing. But I'm really grateful for the fact that we were able to kind of just go on our own and really figure out things on our own. And we were given a lot of pointers, a lot of places that we can go, and but then we had to work as a team to be able to really figure out how God was going to use us, what He wanted us to do. And one of the key things that I think that we got out of it was compassion. And I think that compassion was really key to reaching these people, really understanding them, listening to them, and really giving them the time of day, and really caring, not just being fake, because they're going to read that really quick, and really wanting to know what they care about and things like that, and sharing in their burdens. And so with reaching certain people that were faithful, which a lot of people would Bible study with us for about 2 times, and then they would kind of ask, I think like 90% of the people would ask at some point, can we go to America, or something about America coming here. And so I think that can be an hindrance, especially if you're kind of wearing nice clothes all the time and stuff like that. People are just going to think, well, let me get some of what you got, And so you don't want them to think of you as money. And so, it was just a great experience and all that. So I'm really grateful that I was able to go on this. As far as Devin goes, he's not here right now, but I know what he said, that he really got out of his shell. If you watch some of the videos, you could actually hear his voice. But he's a really good guy, and he was able to help us in all these endeavors, and we worked really well as a team. And we were just really excited for what God was doing there. So just continue to pray for the church, that it would grow, and continue to pray for key men. It was really hard to find men that wanted to Bible study. Probably 8, maybe 7 out of 10 people were women that wanted to Bible study, or that would Bible study. And so it was really hard to get faithful men to continue. Although we did get some, so just continue to pray for that. Thanks.
Amen. Well, I appreciate those testimonies. Sometimes it's hard when you come back from a trip like that, especially 6 weeks, to try to summarize in a matter of just a few minutes and communicate what all God did. And it can be encouraging to others, but let me just tell you, if you have never been on a missions trip, you've just got to go. To understand it, to see, you've got to be involved in it. And if you haven't done that, I just want to challenge you. Do it. Get your passport, and we've got plenty of opportunities for you to do that. And I want to encourage you to make that part of your plan for this upcoming year, to be involved in that. Let's stand together, and we'll be dismissed in a word of prayer. If I can just remind all of the nursery workers